All right, welcome to your first fingerstyle pattern. This is a really cool pattern because it serves a couple of purposes. Number one, it really builds the coordination between your thumb and your fingers. I use this for warm-up exercise all the time, and you should too. And number two, it's a very useful, simple fingerstyle accompaniment pattern that you can use to play literally to thousands of songs. And I'll show it to you real quick. And you might be like, well, that's really simple. I call this just alternating thumb and fingers. Super simple, but it's very important to get down because it kind of opens the doorways and unlocks a lot of things as far as coordination for new and different patterns. So let's take this, kind of take the left hand or the fretting hand out of the equation by just using one chord for right now while we're learning this. We're going to use a G major chord. And get your picking hand set up in the standard starting position. So the low E string with your thumb, first finger on the G string, middle finger on the B string, third finger on the high E string. And this brings up kind of an important concept as far as fingerstyle patterns. Generally speaking, this isn't a rule, but generally speaking, and you're gonna find this is more often the case than not, your thumb is going to grab the lowest root note available on any given chord shape. So for this G chord shape, my lowest root note is on the third fret of the low E string. So that's going to be where my thumb, what my thumb plays. If I was playing a C chord, my thumb would get this root note, the C note here on the third fret of the A string. More on that later. But for now, all you have to do to play this pattern is play the low root note, the E string with your thumb, and then pull in all your fingers all at once. And really, that's all there is to it, but the coordination that you have to get down to make this smooth is where the challenge really comes in. So, and here's the kicker for this, I'll show you too. So thumb, fingers, thumb, fingers, thumb, fingers, right? It doesn't sound too complicated, but when you try to get it in time, here's the thing you have to remember. Thumb, and then as soon as you hit with your fingers, pluck with your fingers, your thumb has to come back immediately and prepare on the low E string or whatever string you're playing with your thumb. And then once your thumb kicks out, or thumb plays that low E string, your fingers kick out and prepare on the top three strings again. So you end up with this kind of back and forth motion with your fingers like this, like the symbiotic relationship. When your thumb pushes, your fingers extend, and when your fingers pull in, your thumb extends back out to get the low string like this. So it's kind of a weird thing to develop. It's the opposite of closing your hand, you know, like that. So just think about it like that and go super slow. Thumb plucks, fingers kick out. Fingers pluck, thumb goes back. Thumb plucks, fingers kick out. Fingers pluck, thumbs go back. And just go really slow. Don't even worry about any kind of steady beat. Just worry about putting your thumb back when your fingers come in and shooting your fingers out to prepare when your thumb goes down. And eventually, you get to it and do it really fast. And this gets your hand warmed up really quick, and it coordinates your motions between your thumb and your fingers, like I said, and that's why I use it for a warm-up so much. I'll exaggerate that motion, give a couple different angles here. Another thing you might want to do before you even start this is just try playing all three top strings at once with your fingers, because it does feel different than doing it with individual fingers. Same technique, just bring your fingers into your palm, but then try to put it with your thumb. If you're using the classical method for this, everything's floating. If you're using I don't even know if I can do it with the folk method. I've never, there you go, yeah I can. Never really done it before. And then if you're using the anchored method, it will look like that. But it's the same concept, thumb down, fingers out, fingers in, thumb back. And what this reminds me of is, if you're familiar with swimming at all, when you're doing a breaststroke, your arms go out when your legs kick. And then when your arms make their stroke, your legs come up for the next kick. So it's kind of a back and forth relationship that you have to get down very smoothly in order for it to work good. But it works with a ton of songs. And it's like, if you don't know what to play for just accompanying someone or jamming with someone, that's always a go-to. If it's in 4/4 time, you can't really go wrong with that. It may not be the best accompaniment pattern for whatever song you're playing, but it will get you through it, and it's a very important coordination to develop in preparation for some more patterns that we'll be going over. So put in some time to get this coordination down. It will probably take you a while, a few days or a few weeks to get it to where you're super comfortable with it. But put in some time with it with no metronome, and then put a metronome on at 70 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the way you'll be able to tell if you put in enough work without a metronome is if you're accurately hitting all the strings or not. And if you don't have to think too much about, you know, the contrary motion or the complementary motion of your finger going down, or your thumb going down while your fingers go out, and your fingers coming in while your thumb comes back and prepares. So that's really it for this lesson. Here are your assignments. Number 1, work on developing the alternating thumb and fingers exercise with no metronome at all. Go as slow as you need to. And number 2, work on developing the alternating thumb and finger exercise with a metronome at anywhere from 60 to 80 beats per minute. You might want to start at 60, work your way up to 70, and then 80. This is an important tipping point as far as prepping yourself and getting some basic coordinations down for the next couple of modules where we're going to be concentrating on accompaniment patterns. So make sure you have this down really well. If you have any questions, leave them below, or if you need to schedule a private lesson with me, you can do that on the Guitar Fam site. The first one is complimentary. And the next lesson, what we're going to do is take and apply this thumb and fingers pattern to a 1, 5, 6, 4 progression in the key of G. See you there.